So I'm making a quick video because I was watching Nathan on Courageous Faith talking, and I definitely recommend you go hit subscribe on his channel. And he was asking if anybody had any other stories where God's just like totally wrecking you, especially in this season. This is a very intense season for some of us that have been following the end times for a long time, really deeply studying Daniel and Revelation and Isaiah and chapters in Jeremiah and Matthew 24. So about a month ago, I started having dreams, and the dreams were waking me up, and I was literally like crying. And I'm not a huge crier, so I knew that God was getting my attention with these dreams because they were so alarming. And I don't have one of those mics to talk into. But anyway, if you watch my channel, you'll see that my husband and I have gone for years over the country enjoying giving the gospel to as many that want to hear it. The true gospel of Jesus from the Bible, that he offers salvation through grace, through faith alone, not of works, lest any man should boast. And all the verses to represent how free his gift of salvation is and how much he longs to save us. And then we went through a season where things got really dry and really confusing for us. And I'm not going to get into all that for time's sake, but the last month I'm waking up with these dreams, one after another, and they're very end times type dreams. And I haven't dreamed in years and years. I've had like no dreams that I can remember in years and years. So from that point on, I'm like, okay, I need to get back in my word, back steadfast with you, God. I've been kind of in this season of rest, this season of like taking on all different kinds of, not something I'm proud of. It was a season for us. We go through that. Even as Christians, we go through that. My husband was definitely in that season heavily. And I started to pray for him after having these dreams, that his spirit would wake up to all the things that we need to be super alert of right now. And as I was like, I'm really into numbers as well. I see a lot of 111. I realize now, I was seeing it so much for months and months and months, and I talk about that maybe on my channel. I was seeing it all the time, every day, for like 6 months, all summer. And I know now, with reading my Bible and everything, and when I see it, it's just God reminding me that he's with me, and that he's protecting me, and that he's watching over me, and that he's my strength. And the times I do see it now, it's not every day and it's not as often, but I know that the time that I was seeing it the most recently was those 6 months, was him, wake up, wake up, wake up. But of course, with the new age stuff and synchronicity, kind of blended all that together. And like, I always knew there was something God was showing me because I have my faith in God, but I wasn't sure exactly what he was showing me. Well, then as I'm praying for my husband, I start seeing 5-5, 5-5. I start going to all kinds of verses in the Bible, 55. What is it, God? I'm seeing it all the time when I pray for him. And when I like really, really have a heart for his heart to get back into soul winning, back into bringing the gospel around with me. And then yesterday, hold on, there's a card. I'll record it. So I was seeing 555. Sorry, I got loud, so I had to pick up where I left off in this video. And so I love YouTube. It's kind of like we're all on a phone line sometimes. And he literally just came home now as I'm making this video, which I'll tell that part in a minute. And I started to see 555, 555, and I'll pray for him, and I'll read scriptures, 555. Like, and if you look up the spiritual meaning of 5 in the Bible, I don't go too crazy with that stuff, but it can mean, gosh, now I can't remember. Let me put that up, I'll put it up on the video what it means. I can't remember what I read, so I looked that up. Why am I seeing all these 5-5, 5-5 whenever I pray for him all day? Like, just, it was definitely catching my attention. And then like I would pray for him at 4:55 or 2:55 or something, and then oh yeah, like a bill would be something 55, and I'm used to my 111. So then yesterday we're at the park, and my daughter comes up to me, and I said, who was your friend that you met at the park? What were you guys talking about? She was talking to her. She said, oh, she was telling me her mom's phone number, and that it's 555 has 3 5s in it. And I was like, oh, funny. She just told you that? That's the best thing for kids to go around. And she said she told her address and it had 5 5s or 3 5s in it too. And Olive couldn't remember the actual address, which was good. And I wouldn't put that here, not that it matters. And then we come home, and at this point I haven't seen 555 yet. And usually when something's 3 times in the Bible, holy, holy, holy is the Lord God Almighty, they around the throne all day. Just a lot of things. If you read abide in him, it'll be 3 times, like how important it is if you read that chapter. 666, beast, 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 man, man, man. I mean, whatever God speaks, it's really interesting how he'll say it 3 times and it's complete. So then I come home, I was like, oh, I didn't think much about the 555. And my husband comes home from work or whatever, and we're talking on the back porch, and there's a receipt under us talking. And at this point, he's starting to look into end times a lot again and reading his Bible a lot. And he's got all these passages in Ezekiel he's talking to me about. And I'm like, oh, this is cool. You know, he's kind of in a dry spell. And I wasn't sure if he would get back to even talking to me about these things right now. And the receipt under him, I never seen it in our life. It says 555 under his hammock. And I'm like, 555? Where did that come from, that receipt? And he's like, I don't know. It's big. It's like an order number, 555. Maybe it was our oldest sons or something. So then I was like, huh. And then later that night, I got to talk to him about something in Revelation that I was reading. And then like God was processing something in my mind I wanted to share with him. Because the thing about him is he knows the Bible very, very well. So he's very fun to talk Bible with when he's in a place of not kind of, well, let me get to where he feels like he's been. Oh, another loud truck. I hope you guys can hear me. I'll let it pass. 555 at dinner, and I'm talking about Revelation. And then this morning we wake up out of bed and we look over, start our day, and we prayed, and he prayed with me, and it said it was 5:55, the clock. I had no idea what time it would be, and I was like, oh, okay, this is getting wild. So now I was like, and so he comes home today, he's like, I realized where I was at in my faith journey, my spirituality. I was like Solomon, you know, he had all this wisdom that God gave him in his younger years and throughout his life. And then he went completely the way of the world and completely, like, in a sense, turned his back on God, even though God gave him so much. It's amazing what Solomon had. And if you read about his life, it's really sad how he completely gave it all up to go back towards, kind of like when the fishermen went fishing, when they were with Jesus and then they go back fishing, and he's like, what the heck are you guys doing? You just kind of go back to old patterns. So then I knew at that point that 5 minutes complete, your prayers are complete, your husband is back to where you've been praying for him to be. I'm like, he's arrived. So that was super exciting. So then work's been really slow for him, and I was praying like 2 weeks ago that whatever it took, God, and his work usually is very boosted and not boastful, that's not the word, not a lack of work with, he has an RV repair mobile company, and it's just been dead silent. And I was praying that whatever it took, God, if it meant you took everything from him, that he would get prepared and ready for what I'm seeing in all my dreams as God's return very soon. And I can talk about that all later. I'm not a date setter, none of those kind of things, but the dreams are very apparent that that were waking me up and starting to get my heart prepared. Oh my goodness, this is what we've studied. It's time. So he just came home from, so we set up our little sale. I have this like mass amount of clothes that we've been gifted. So set up my sale today, and like, we're just going to sell some things and downsize some things to get prepared for the next chapter. And a man down the street that we've never met that has an RV stops by, and he's like, I was like, oh, are you here to shop? And he's like, no, I want to talk to your husband. I have some work for him on my RV. It ended up being a great job. He was able to walk down the street and work for him. And the guy was like, they're not done with the job because he's got to order parts and fix his slide out. And the guy said to him, and I had him watch Nathan's video earlier, like, you know, a lot of us are going through it. We have to just trust the Lord. And more than ever, a lot of us are going to have to trust the Lord, you know, like a lot, more than we ever have had to. I truly believe that. So then he comes home and he's like, it was like a Nathan, what we watched in Nathan's video just happened to me. The guy was like, can I pay you like some for what you've done today? And he's like, oh, that's okay. We'll just square up when it's all done and the parts come in. He's like, So, okay. And then a few minutes go by and he's like, you sure I can't give you any cash today? And he's like, no, that's okay. And then he asked them again and he was like, you know what? I am kind of broke. I would like to get paid. That would be nice. He's like, yeah, I thought so. Like, why not? And so anyway, really cool. Wanted to share. One last thing I wanted to say is your video was so in time today, Nathan. Thank you so much for being honest, humble. It's okay. There's many people that haven't gotten it all figured out in this life, and as far as finances go, but guess what? God has always made a way for those that put their trust in him. It will be, I was singing that hymn today. It will be such a testament of your faith as it grows. I was singing that hymn today. Jesus, Jesus, I trust him. And then how I've proved him o'er and o'er. So if you are over and over, I might have said, but you get to prove him over and over whenever you have just incredible things fall into your lap. So getting to live a life where you get to prove Jesus over and over like that hymn sings, or the words of that hymn says, is the most incredible way. So if you had everything just given to you and in your lap and in your bank account all the time, I promise you, you wouldn't be having the same experience. So trusting him and growing in him and proving him. So anyway, have a great day. Thanks for sharing.